welcome to the next episode, Discipline, Desire, and Dedication. Once again, my name is Dakota Lang, and this is co-host Garrett Cotten. Gonna do an episode with just me and you today. Talk about we're at the company conference here in Utah. So today is Saturday. Got a company conference on Monday and Tuesday. And me and you are both going to speak at different times during the conference. Going to talk about, your topic is just focusing on building an office, rebuilding an office, and ultimately just rebuilding a business.
Yeah, that's it. Everything that we talk about on this podcast is super applicable to just success in general. So we're going to really, especially for my part, I'm going to really kind of gauge in like what we see in our business, but I'm sure that a lot of people can relate outside of this as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And my main topic that I'm going to focus on in mine is going to be more of just vision, vision and recruiting, and honestly, it all comes back to building a business.
Yeah. They're very, very,
very similar. So let's just jump right into it. Got the company conference coming up. I'm super excited. You're super excited.
Get to see everybody.
This is the moment that, when we first got here in March of 2023, it was just me, you, and Dylan. And then we got to, last year we probably had, what would you say, about 10 to 15 people from Louisiana?
Probably so.
Yeah, 10 to 15 people from Louisiana, and this year coming to the conference Monday and Tuesday is going to be around 40 people.
Yeah.
So throughout the country, and it all stemmed from, us three down there in Denver, and we just built a dynasty. So super excited to see everybody. Can't wait. But me and you were both asked to speak, so let's kind of just we'll dive straight into yours. Just rebuilding an office. You spun off me in February, Lizzie, and then Guppy, and kind of just talk about anybody in business. Whenever you branch off somebody else, what would you say is your biggest challenge?
The biggest challenge in any business is of course recruiting, growing your business and things like that. But I think especially what has been the thing that's been working the best for me is just reminding myself of what did I do to get to where I'm at today, and continuing to follow that system, So even as we move up in the company, it kind of like you get a new title, a new role, new position, whatever it is. That's kind of like my reminder of like, hey, just because the title changes or just because the job changes doesn't mean like, as far as all the things that I'm doing outside of work, I have to stay true to those because what I do outside of work is what's helped me to grow the business so much, because even for like you coming up, it was not just a change of scenery. It's the whole aspect of we're changing your life to become the best version in this company. So I always like to say that we don't like to train salespeople. We like to train you to become a good person. Like that's it. We just want you to be a person that you want to be led by. So
yeah, and talk about, so whenever you spin people off as a market owner, that's typically your number two in your office, right? So you have your market owner, which is your number one. It's pretty much like a branch manager in a sense for the audience to understand a little bit more. And number two is going to be pretty much your right-hand man. Everybody knows your ways, how you operate, and they're pretty much just, in my eyes, the way I call it, just a reinforcer, right? They reinforce everything that you say. So talk about that transition period of when you have the person that's a number two and then they branch off to go open up their own market. How do you rebuild somebody else to take that role?
I think the biggest thing is you have to keep abundance mentality. Because when you do a split, I mean, now you've experienced this too. What's the emotions that go through whenever you're losing a handful of your people that you've trained?
Yeah.
So, and it's hard. When you left, I was like, I mean, I'm looking tough, and I'm like, fuck them. We don't need them. Get them out of here. No. But deep down, I'm like, oh, shit. I'm losing some heavy hitters. Yeah. Like, I'm cutting off the one of my main engines in my vehicle, and I'm sending it somewhere else. So having that abundance mentality of that based off of who's in the office, I can train anybody to do exactly what you were doing.
Yep.
And then keeping that mentality and never showing weakness or never showing fear of what could potentially happen, failure is not an option. So
Right.
as long as we continue to remind ourselves that, it's easy to transition somebody into finding a new number two. But with finding a new number two, a lot goes into it. It's not just, hey, look, you're the closer, you were right behind Dakota, let's just get you right. You have to find somebody who wants it, that you trust, and then you have to put a lot into them and show them that you trust them.
Right.
One of my favorite saying, I actually just finished the Phil Knight book of Shoe Dog, and at the very end of his book, it's like one of the last couple of pages, they talk about a quote from the bucket list. And it says that you measure yourself by those who measure themselves by you, right? So think about that for a second. So you measure yourself based off of how people who measure, I'm going to have to read it too, so I don't want to say it wrong. I literally typed it in my phone. But it's an incredible post, but it kind of goes hand in hand with the idea of show me your friends, I'll show you your future.
Right.
And so you measure yourself by the people who measure themselves by you. So it's kind of like that relationship of I'm gonna measure myself by the people who measure themselves by me. So like in yourself, like when you came in, it was like I need to do exactly what he's doing, this kind of thing. We're same goals in mind, right? Same vision, and we're measuring ourselves based on what we put into it. So it's a lot about surrounding yourself with the right people. To have a number two come in, that's going to come in and potentially you have to trust them well enough that they can run your office without you.
Yep.
That you have to trust them to that level. And throughout our company, I'm sure there's a lot of offices where market owners don't have that. They don't have a number two that they trust. Especially like the market owners that are still going out there that are closing deals and training knockers. It's because they don't trust that closer in their office to go out there and train the knockers.
Lead the field. Yep.
So they're going out there and having to do it themselves. Now, the struggle of this is that you endure a lot of failure. Think about all the stressful times when we get on the phone and we're like, fuck it, they'll figure it out.
Yep.
They're going to fail or they're going to figure it out, one
Yep.
of the two. And we're going to say, I'm not going out there to do that for them. And when we don't do that, they usually figure it out because you can only endure so much failure before you say enough's enough. Garrett, help me, or Dakota, help me.
Right.
So it's definitely the struggle is rebuilding that number two, but finding somebody in your office that you truly trust to do so and letting them see that you trust them. Because remember just like how Clay Davis and Zachary Keller, it was purely work.
Yep.
There was no friendship. There was no play.
Nope.
And we got on that phone call one time and we talked about it. Hey, when was the last time you hung out with them outside of work, not a company office incentive, right? And then we started to get that more involvement. And we're starting to surround ourselves with people and we're showing them that, hey, I trust you and I believe in you and I'm here to support you to get there.
Yeah.
So
I would say, well, I think you nailed it right there on the head. I've been marking on coming up on a year, right? Clay's obviously we sent down to Dallas with a couple knockers. And the biggest thing is just letting them know that you trust them, right? And obviously they got to earn that trust, right? I would say it goes back to scarcity mindset, right? You cannot have scarcity mindset as a leader because if you do, the people that are relying on you or depending on you, if they see any sign of weakness, it makes them get scared, right? So especially spinning off the market owners that you have, that's one thing that you did very well is it was always next man up.
Yep. As soon as one leaves, I'm scared. Like who wants it?
Yep.
Because in the room, you got to find that person who wants it, who wants to take your seat. Because there are people in every office that they might have gotten to closer by sacrificing for 2 months. But once they got to closer, they were like, oh, well, I made it to closer. You got to find that person who's here with the same vision as us, that we're building something much larger than this.
Something that really clicked with me is that one thing that so when Thomas came back to Austin, I was had a one-on-one when I was just talking, and one thing he said that really stood out is that it kind of blows his mind that I had knockers at entry-level position, talking about becoming a market owner.
That's right.
Right? Having that vision built into the system, right? And that comes from your belief into your people.
That's right.
Right? If you're constantly, if you as a leader have a scarcity mindset that if you lose this person that you're not going to be able to do it, well then you're really not a good leader.
No, that's not at all.
That's because you should want your people up underneath you to grow to their potential.
Yeah, and it also comes with our belief of what this system is and what the company is as itself. Because I mean, it relates so much to even customers, right? Customers who buy windows and they text us and they're mad about whatever under the sun. The interest rate wasn't clearly told to them or whatever it is. For those, I've learned to just use takeaways. I'm like, well, look, I can actually go ahead and cancel this contract for you, and that way we don't have to worry about it at all. But that's abundance mentality, saying that I don't. It's a privilege to do business with us because I know you're going to get the best product on the market. You're getting the best customer service install, the whole nine. By us, it is a privilege to do business with us. So I use takeaways on people all the time, and they never cancel.
Yep.
Because I have such an abundance mentality of like, look, I don't need a $60,000 deal. I'm going to go close 3 more.
Yeah.
Like it's having that abundance mentality. Abundance mentality is probably the biggest thing that we need to harp on for this thing, is that coming into it, it's burning the boats, and it's also with that positivity mindset. Because in order to rebuild that culture, everybody has to feel it.
Rebuild the culture, but I agree with you on rebuilding the culture. But what I will say is after you build the culture the first time, now it's all about is just holding the standard.
Yeah.
Right? Denver, right? We built the culture whenever I was there, right? Lizzie was there, Guppy, all of them, B-Rob, they all knew the culture. They were in the system with us, that even whenever I left, all you have to do is you just have to hold that.
Yeah,
right?
and it comes down to checks and exits. Like Lizzie, when you listen to this, you'll hear it. But Lizzie calls me all the time, and she's like, "I've got this knocker that he called me, and he doesn't want to go out to Hood. I mean, he wants to go straight to Hood today, and he didn't work yesterday." And I'm like, Lizzie, that's why standards are in place.
Yep.
Because it says it on the board: no meeting, no work.
Yep.
Tell me one professional sport that you can just go straight out on the field without a warm up.
Yeah.
There's not one. We get paid like professional athletes, so there's a standard that has to be held. And the thing is that as our branch offs, right, like Lizzie, when they get in that position, that leadership role, it's up to them to hold that standard.
Yeah.
Because the beautiful thing about it is we created the standard in Denver.
Yeah.
And everybody that's left Denver has held that standard pretty dang good. And that's why we're having the successes that we have. But it's whenever they get on their own, for one, it's kind of like I look at market owner role as, especially in Denver now, as I'm a sub-regional. Because I got 5 closers in my office. I got 5 potential market owners.
Right.
I let them start to live that role out as a closer. Like, I'm not going to go out there and go close for them. It's not my job to close your deals. It's my job to train you and lead you to do that. So I think it always comes back to those 3 things, right? So as a knocker, you knock, 50 combos a day, 100% on script, and you focus on your swag. As a closer, you train the knockers because you were the best. You lead the knockers because you're the leader. You're the person in the field. And then the last one is close deals. And that's your only 3 jobs. Now, as a market owner, it's my job to train the closers. Make sure that the closers are closing their jobs. Make sure they're doing the right things. And by training, it's not going out there and doing for, right? Training is making sure they have the knowledge to do so. Now, leading is always being that support system. Always being the person when they call me and they're like, Garrett, why is this? It's turning. No, shut up. Get that out of your head. You're great at this job. You're the best closer in this company. Being that leader, that support, that's always going to, regardless of what you're going through, I'm pulling you with me to the top. And then the last thing is recruiting. And the biggest thing about market owner recruiting is by market owner recruiting, it's continue. For one, if a market owner can recruit, your pipeline never runs out.
Yeah.
Ever. Like as long as knockers are easily replaceable. But if you continue to have the culture, the closers are going to automatically want to get promoted. And if you keep the pipeline filled on knockers, it's not as much one-on-one time with my personal recruits, but I keep the pipeline and they come into a culture where they're set up to win.
Right.
So that's our systems are the reason.
Second to none.
Yeah, it's why we're doing breaking records.
Million,
every single year. But
and just scaling from there. One thing that I will say, what would you say? Let's talk about, right, you rebuilding an office. Kind of go back to your topic. Rebuilding an office, you spend somebody off. What is one thing that you can try to keep people from getting complacent at their specific position that they're in currently?
Yeah, the vision, always. And when I get a chance to talk with Levi and Kyle, I always tell them too, of like the biggest thing about us Louisiana people is show us what is out there. Show us what the potential of opportunity is. If you tell me that, hey, I'll never forget my first week in Performance Windows. And Levi Henry was running the meeting because all the people were in Hawaii for their company conference or the company trip. And Levi, on like my second day of knocking, I passed off script. He made a comment. And he was like, all right, guys, so if y'all notice Garrett's nonverbals, paraverbals, they're perfect. So he's going to do great. Next day, I went out, I think it was at the end of that week, Eric Ostrom had gotten back from Hawaii, and Levi wanted Eric to come shadow me. Well, I started knocking like one side of the street, turn the street, and I see Eric pull up. He comes out, and he's like, I'm going to see you hit this one. Guy comes out, set a same day. Yep. First conversation with Eric Washerman.
Yep.
He watched one door, one set, one same day. And then we got to the driveway, and he was like, dude, you're a stud. Like, you just keep doing what you're doing. I said, okay. And then kept on rolling. The next day, Levi told me, he was like, dude, you keep up, you're going to be a market owner.
Yep.
And it's not closer, market owner, right?
Yep.
And I come in as a knocker, I'm like, I'm going to own a branch.
Yep.
And it's building that, and that's, again, it's not, we don't need to create a whole new system to build this company. We need to replicate. So for everybody that I've ever talked to, I talk to them and I build the vision about what this potential, or the potential in this company and where we could end up.
Yep.
And I think that's the biggest thing about complacent people is taking that time to sit them down one-on-one and talk to them and say, hey, look, do you see the vision? Do you see where you can go? Like I maybe do this a little bit too much, but I give a lot of false promises where I'm like, I'll tell people, I'm like, dude, you're so close. You're in the running for the next market owner, and they may not be. But it's sometimes telling that type of stuff to somebody who doesn't know what's going on behind the scenes.
Yep.
It may pop them into become that person.
Yep, 100%.
Because it's all belief. If you believe in yourself, you can do anything.
Yep. But that's just being a good leader and believing in your people too. You know what I mean? Believing in your people, because as a leader, if you're don't believe in the person, one of the guys that are in the office or whatever, and don't think that they have the potential to reach that next step, then they're never going to reach that next step because nobody believes in them.
Lizzie said it to me one time. She was like, Garrett's making all this money, and I mean, he's from the same place I am.
Yep.
And he believed in me. Yep. And I'm like, if he believes in me, then I should believe in myself.
Yep.
And that's why she's where she's at today.
Literally.
Is having somebody that shows you the vision and then believes in you. So it does take, it's the sacrifice, but the sacrifice changes as you go from closer to market owner. As a closer, the sacrifice is your time.
Yep.
Right? Daylight to dark. You better be grinding. You better be hustling. As a market owner, you have more time, but you need to sacrifice more of your mental. Because there's times where I don't want to answer that phone call. There's times where I don't want to sit down and talk to this person. There's times where I don't, like, especially because when you start training closers, like I've trained probably 10 closers from nothing, Every time you train one, it's mundane of like, okay, here's the script. Here's your window. Here, like, you have to go through each step. And it's sometimes like you forget about what they don't know, but it's always having that patience and supporting, But it's the sacrifice of your mental, because it's definitely more mentally tasking as a market owner than it was as a closer. Because as a closer, it's like cutting grass. You can put your headphones in and get in a groove, and you just go. Like, you know what to do. As a market owner, every day is different. Every problem's different, So getting somebody to that level, I think it really does help to let your closers or let the people who are running the field work of your office.
And I agree with that 100%. And we can refer it back to Performance Windows, but even just for regular listeners that are not with Performance Windows, that's just in business in general, right? Because as a leader, as a management position, you always got to believe in your people, and you always got to want them want them to take your job.
Yeah.
Build them up and let them know that they could do exactly what you do if they just follow your system, right? And if you just, like you said, you don't have to reinvent it. If you just replicate it, you will find success, because obviously whatever I did to get to the point I'm at now worked, right? So just replicate it, and it'll always get you there.
Yeah.
I would say, though, the biggest thing when people get comfortable in a specific position, or they feel like they can't do it, or they feel like a lot of people feel like it's too far of a reach.
Yeah.
And in reality, I think it's comedy, but there's only 4 positions in this company.
That's it.
That's it.
Vivint's been around since 1999, and there's 9, I think he said.
9, yeah.
9 positions.
Right, 9 positions. Right now, we're only at 4, right? So in a matter of a year and a half, a year, you could be already up to the 3rd top position in the company.
I mean, just look at my track record. I started on the 3rd year of business.
Yeah.
And I've passed up a lot of people in 2 years. And I was one of the last people to join, you know. But it just shows that that's the opportunity we have, is what you put into this is what you're going to get out of it. But if I think the ones that you're talking about are kind of, it's comedy, is they don't see that long-term vision. I believe it all starts from a lack of commitment. You know, they never truly committed to the goal. So I'd say that if you want to rebuild an office, make sure everybody's committed.
Same page.
But the biggest thing is you got to cut the low-hanging fruit quick, because that's the biggest way to have a failing office, is when you keep somebody around too long that doesn't have that same vision, because they're going to go out and knock with somebody, right? And then that person goes out and then they don't feel the same way, because you got to have everybody in your office building the culture rather than tearing it down.
Yeah.
So it's really hard, but that's, as a leader, you have to know who's poison and who's.
You got to be able to recognize that.
Yeah, and you got to make quick movements on it too.
Yep. Trust your gut.
Yeah, hire and fire quick is what I'm going to put on here.
Yep. Hire and fire quick.
But we might do that a little too quick sometimes.
Yeah, and to go back as far, because I know I'm going to talk about the vision a little bit, and I think after doing this podcast, I'm really going to dive into, I'm going to talk about the vision, how we got to where we are, and then systems, implementing the systems, not creating your own, just replicating it, and
it's hard to relate for other people too, because of our system, putting somebody in my house for 2 months.
Right.
But if you think about it, yeah, that's hard. But what's harder, having somebody in your house for 2 months to get them in the right vision, or having somebody meet you at the office every day for 6 months trying to build that vision?
Yeah.
So choose your hard. It's hard to have somebody in your house and be around 24/7. It's hard to have your business grow slowly because you only see this person a certain amount of time. So it's choose your hard.
Yeah, and you gotta vest into your people.
And it comes back to urgency. If you have a sense of urgency of like, we got to get to market owner, we got to get to closer, we got to build this fast. It always repeats in my head from Levi saying, when I first started, he said, we were in aggressive expansion mode.
Yeah.
I'll never forget those words. Aggressive expansion mode. That means fast, aggressively, get across the country, bring people in, hire, fire, aggressive. There's aggressive. That's a big word, right? So it's got to be intentional. It's got to be intense. Everything that you do. So it's kind of like just continuing to have that urgency and letting other people see that, hey, this is not your forever job. I say it all the time. I talk to people, look, I'm not going to be selling windows in 10 to 15 years.
No.
I'm not, because I'm going to sprint to the top so that in 10 to 15 years from now, I get to live with my family. I get to live life, but I'm going to put in the hard work now. But it's instilling that level of urgency. I'm also going to put that too, as far as like building that vision of urgency. You got to move quick, because if you're not moving quick, then you're not going to be achieving anything, and that's seeing that vision.
In all relations, yeah, and that goes throughout that's anything in life.
Yeah.
That's anything in life. If
Fighting.
you're constantly
talk
just like,
about
oh,
training.
yeah, well, one day I'm going to do that, there's no urgency. But if you're like, no, I got to do this today,
Yeah.
then it's like cleaning your room,
Yeah.
right? If you sit there and you're, oh, man, I'm going to clean my room when I get home or whatever. No, clean it now.
I actually heard a quote about cleaning your room. I think it was Patrick Bet David or said it or somebody, but if you give yourself 30 days to clean your room, it's going to take you 30 days to clean your room. Now, if you only give yourself 30 minutes to clean your room, you're going to clean your room in 30 minutes. But it's how much time do you give yourself? For me, 35 is my cutoff.
Yep.
I started this job at 25. 10 years, I said, I will not be working past 35. Now, I may be working, but you may not be calling it work.
Right.
It's going to be answering and guidance is what I want to be doing.
Right. Mentoring.
Helping people to apply systems and build wealth.
Right.
And that's what we're going to get to, but it's going to take time.
Yeah. And I like that, really applying systems, the systems that work.
Mm-hmm.
But it all comes back to recruiting. That's literally what the name of the game is recruiting. And let's kind of dive into recruiting a little bit.
That's the
lot
biggest
of people,
thing about rebuilding.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing about any business, in my opinion. Rebuilding, building, everything. The thing with a lot of people have a bad interpretation on recruiting, but if you honestly believe that what you're doing is helping somebody, then it's not about recruiting. It's about changing lives.
Oh, and my favorite saying.
Right.
In order to be a millionaire,
change millions of lives.
You got to change the lives of millions of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. A lot of people they're scared to, make that push on recruiting because, they don't believe it. Ultimately, if you honestly believe in what you're doing on a daily basis, as far as bettering yourself, helping other people, then it's easy to get people to buy into your system, right? And it comes from your belief. If you believe that, then other people feel that energy off of you, right? It's sales. Sales is a transfer of energy. It's either you're going to have this positive abundance mentality energy, or you're going to have this, where you're just going through the motions and just let's see what happens type energy. No, create it, demand it. I always say in my office is that you have to demand success.
Yeah.
You can't. It's not going to come and just slap you in the face and say, "Oh yeah, hey, you're going to be successful."
Hey, look, the man.
Yeah,
success right here.
Yep. You just luck of the draw, right? No, it's not luck. Luck comes from opportunity, and if you constantly make that, give yourself that opportunity over and over and over again, then you're going to reap this success.
Yeah. Persistent. That's all formulas.
Yeah.
Finding the formulas in your life and implementing, that's where you're going to have success. For me, I truly think that I got to where I am today because of the little sayings, that positive self-talk. I'd be out there failing all day long, bagling all day long, and I'm like, persistence plus failure equals success. And I would tell myself, hard work pays off. Hard work pays off. It may not pay off today. It may not pay off next week or next month, but eventually it will pay off.
Yep.
And then you attach urgency to that hard work, and then it's going to happen faster.
Right.
Because especially we're in a room where the systems have proven over and over and over again to work.
Right.
So it's not about what do I have to do different to achieve the success. How long is it going to take me to achieve success? Because the systems are here, but it's being coachable. I mean, you see it all the time whenever we bring somebody new into the company and they're very coachable. They're on Big Check Friday before they know it.
Yeah.
Even as knockers, we have knockers come in and hit Big Check Friday, over 10K in a week.
Yeah.
And then closers, they're the same. If they're coachable, that's whenever they come in and we show them hey, if you do this system, you're going to make money. And like Josh Mascaro, 6 months hit a golden door.
I would say another thing, especially on rebuilding an office, is leadership holding the accountability, right? So whenever you do spin off a market owner and let's say you have 3 more closers in the office, they have to hold themselves accountable to step up into that next role, because if they're just so complacent and they're just, oh, well, Garrett's going to do it. Garrett's going to do it.
Nope.
Guess what? It's not going to. Yeah, it ain't going to happen.
I'm going to train you. You run 1 appointment a week, but you close it?
Yeah.
I'm doing my job.
Yep, exactly.
I did my job.
Yep.
You know how to close deals, right?
Yep.
Now, you know how to knock.
Yep.
Go teach them how to knock. It's not my job to go teach you how to knock.
Yeah.
So it's again, but as a market owner, you do have to be able to fall into each one of those roles. But if I wasn't recruiting and filling the pipeline, then there would probably be more reason for me to go train people to go knock.
Yeah.
But if I've got 5 closers,
If you're training knockers and you got 5 closers, you got bigger problems. You have a huge
problem.
leadership gap.
Yeah.
There's no
people don't understand what their role is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That'd
be a good point that you could talk about is everybody knowing their role.
Yeah, that is true.
Everybody knowing their role, being able to hold that, be accountable on what you do your job.
Everybody knowing their role.
Do your job.
And pulling their weight.
Yep. Cool.
And pulling their own weight.
Heck yeah, man. I'm excited. I'm excited. And look, to our listeners out there, man, if you have any, looking for any business, this what we're talking about, yeah, we're relating it all back to performance windows because that is our business with, and that's what we're in our day-to-day lives. But this is systems and stuff that you can implement in your own business, right? Whatever you choose to pursue as a career, as a job with any other company, that's stuff that you can implement into your day-to-day lives so that you can reach that next step of what you're trying to achieve. Mm-hmm. I heard it a couple of days ago is the best part about this job is that you're always paid to your potential.
That's right.
And in reality, they have other, even other 9-to-5 jobs. You can still do that.
Yeah, I would say that you have the ability to get paid to your potential, but you truly get paid according to your efforts.
Right.
Because a lot of people have potential. Like I got people in my mind right now who have so much freaking potential, but their efforts are lacking.
Yeah.
And because their efforts are lacking, their paychecks result in that.
Yeah. And it goes back to the saying that, the work that you are avoiding is the success that you are looking for.
Yep.
Right? You got to put in that work.
Yep.
It don't just come and just slap you in the face and say, here, you're successful. No,
you got. It comes with sacrifices and putting more time and more efforts into achieving those goals. And if you don't do it, I used to say this in college all the time because I remember I used to run a lot in KA.
Yep.
And I used to tell myself, ain't nobody going to do it for me.
Yep.
Ain't nobody going to get this body in shape.
Yep.
Ain't nobody going to do it
gotta go
but
do it yourself.
me. And I think even being at college, that's probably the only thing I learned from college is outside of classrooms. Physical health and mental health is nobody's going to help you get better at that stuff except for yourself. How many books do they have on wealth?
A lot.
More than we know.
Yeah, a lot.
We couldn't read that many books.
Yeah.
But the thing is they all have similar strategies and stories about it because it's the people who have success are the people who go out and make it happen.
Yeah.
Make it happen right over there on the
Massive
wall.
action.
Massive action. And if you don't take action towards your goal, you're not going to achieve it.
Yeah.
Like if I want a 6-pack, I know that it's going to suck to do crunches every single day of the week, but that's how you achieve it. Eat right and work your core. If you don't work your core and you don't eat right, don't expect results.
No 6-pack, yep.
So same thing in business. For us, we're just trying to implement the standards of the things that are going to help you to grow your business. And I mean, the stuff we talk about, choosing hard, of sacrificing. That's ultimately what that's about. Hire and fire quick. Yeah, it's uncomfortable to let somebody go, but that's a scarcity mentality.
Yep.
It's you're scared that if I let this one knocker go, my business might fail. No, I built this business.
Mm-hmm.
I can go back to building it from the scratch. I'll go knock the doors if I have to.
Yep.
It's having that true belief in abundance that I don't need you. And that abundance mentality is only going to help you grow so much faster.
Absolutely.
Yeah, abundance mentality is probably the biggest thing. I don't think I wrote it down here. Abundance. I'm going to put it all caps.
All caps. All right, you got anything else?
You want to talk about yours a little bit, or is our cameras going low?
We can talk about it a little bit. Okay. The main thing I want to talk about is vision. How
you want to write any notes on?
No, I'm good. I'm just going to talk about it. Main thing I want to talk about is vision, and then just implementing the systems. Replicating them, not reinventing them.
One thing that I think you could talk about too, because think about a company as a whole, being brand new into this company. Start talking to these people because everybody in the room is a follower. Mm-hmm. When you come in as a knocker, you're just a follower and you're following the leader. Like, what do I go do? Where do I go talk? How do I do this? You're a follower. So if you build the idea of even coming in as a knocker,
they're dying.
Yeah, they start to die. We'll be quick. Even coming in as a knocker and you're starting to as a knocker, sell others on the vision.
Yep.
Because all that's going to do is sell your own belief.
Yep.
if you come in and you're like you're the bottom of the barrel, but you're saying, hey guys, think about what we can do, you're going to be pushing the closers higher. You're going to be pushing the knockers higher. So if you can even get that into the ideas of the guys who are brand new to this company, you guys need to build the vision.
Yeah.
Because that's what I did. When I came in, Carson told me what it could be, and I ran.
Yep.
I sprinted. And by me sprinting, guess what happened to everybody above me? It pushed them to be their highest potential.
Literally.
So if we can pump it up from the bottom, that's where it gets easier and easier, and everybody's doing their role.
Yep.
Sell the vision to anybody. Like when you hire a new janitor, build the vision of what it could be. Well, our office guys, they don't sell, but we build the vision. I tell them all the time, you're going to be this.
Yep.
You're going to be a regional corporate guy.
Yep.
You're going to be, and that's building a vision,
Yep.
and that's why Mar does so
Same thing
freaking
as
good.
Anthony, bro. Same thing as Anthony.
But it's relative to any business, not
Yep.
just windows.
Awesome, man. Well, hey, we appreciate you watching. Make sure you like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Like and share the post on Facebook, Instagram. And we appreciate you. And have a great year of 2025. Peace.